Alright, everyone, I am back. Let us refresh the timer for Hadrid here. And let us continue on with Jullus. From here, we will be heading northeast, keeping to the left of the railway. While the route itself is straightforward, getting past the hordes unseen is anything but. Keep your weapons at the ready. They would attack their own countrymen? Aye, they spare their own but slaughter the rest without hesitation. Though we'll try to avoid detection. The chances of sneaking by completely unnoticed are slim at best. I will lead the way, but in the event we are seen, you're to fight them off. Those two will follow us, provided they can refrain from drawing their weapons. While I doubt they would be foolish enough to stab their guide in the back, I will not take that chance. With that said, let us proceed. Looks like this time there isn't an escort going on here, so we can just run through. Also, hey, one of the trains got derailed, apparently. I think I'm going in the wrong direction, actually. Wait, where is it? Oh, there it is. I see why your comrades chose you. Jullus, our contingent has a cure for the afflicted, or tempered as we call them. Your people would need to be taken into custody that we may administer the treatment, but they would eventually regain their sanity. Is that so? For all I know, your treatment would simply force them to forsake one master for another. As far as I and my legion are concerned, they are no longer our people. They're beyond saving. Those who thought differently and tried to reason with them were butchered for their bleeding hearts. Come, we have to keep moving. Okay, moving on. And it looks like there's another fight right next to the train here. Looks like we're not being followed. We will continue onward. I meant what I said. These people deserve only death. I stayed my hand before only out of a desire to remain undiscovered, and that is still the higher priority. We should continue to avoid any unnecessary confrontations. Keep following the railway. Okay. At least it's quick to take these groups out. Look at what they have become. Would you stand still there and claim that they can be cured? Those exposed to a vast quantity of a primal's aether may suffer severe corruption. Even with treatment, such victims are beyond salvation. Then you admit it. Now that you have seen these monstrosities for yourself, perhaps you will think twice before speaking of a cure. We're almost there. You have kept your side of the agreement, so I will keep mine. This way. This is Tertium. Or Tertium, rather. One of Garleans' largest stations. It now serves as our headquarters. I've already sent the twins ahead. I will be with you soon, so wait for me at the bottom of the stairs. What stairs? I only see ramps here. It's plain to see why they chose this as their base of operations. They could have done a lot worse. Even so, I imagine it's not the easiest place to live. Indeed, and if Jullus was willing to make the perilous journey to Camp Broken Glass in search of food, their own supplies must be all but exhausted. They may be shielded from the wind and snow, but it's still bitterly cold. Much like Victor's spoils, it must be a constant struggle to keep their people warm. Lower your voices. While you may be here as my guests, the others will not take kindly to your presence. My commander is in the locomotive over there. You know, suddenly I just remembered something about there being a train that takes you into a dungeon. So I guess this is it here. I'm also reminded of, actually, Regalia City back in Final Fantasy XV. That's kind of what this sort of has the feel of, both above ground and underground. The Aetherite is not responding. Alright, well, even if the Aetherite is not responding, at least my sightseeing log should be responding. Alright, let's have this conversation, shall we?
These are their chosen representatives. Very well. Let us hear what they have to say.
Yes, sir. I present to you our commander, Lord Quintus Van Kina, Legatus of the First Legion.
The First? I had no idea you had survived.
We lost our Emperor, our city, more than half our troops. For my wounds, I may never take the field again. But we survived, aye. In a manner much to your liking, I dare say.
We have no intention of adding to your misfortunes, nor do we bear you any ill will.
Spare me. Though you children may speak in earnest, overtures of peace ever ring hollow in my ears. So long as man stands to profit from his neighbor's suffering, war is inevitable. Driven from our ancestral homeland into this blasted waste. Yet still you yearned to rob us of our paltry scraps. 'Twas only with Magitech that you learned to keep your distance. Though we knew it was only a matter of time before you regrouped and returned. Conquest and empire were our only defenses. Emperors Solus and Varys understood this, and through their campaigns saw us grow and prosper. Much blood has been spilled in Garlemald's name, aye. But if it is a choice between yours and mine, then it is hardly a choice at all.
I do not deny that a great many conflicts throughout history were driven by the desire or necessity to gain by another's loss. That is not why we are here. Nor have we come to petition your aid in the war with the Telophoroi, grave though that threat may be. Our purpose is simply this. We wish to help you. Let us help you. If there is aught that can be done to ease your plight, we would be glad to do it.
Perhaps you would. But regardless of the ideals you espouse, your leaders would not send an army into Garlemald if they did not stand to benefit. If we accept their aid, they will expect their efforts to be rewarded once the Telophoroi are no longer a threat. And after compensation and concessions, the great empire would be brought to heel. Her enemies rejoice at her downfall. Our third eye, a mark of shame.
We won't stand idly by and let your people be humiliated. And we're not alone in that. We only want to make a difference, to make this world of ours better. Surely you can understand that. What I'm trying to say is, there are so many people who just don't care about making you suffer. And maybe that's almost insulting after all the suffering you feel the world has subjected your people to, but believe it or not, that's the truth. And now we're here, and all we're asking is for you to tell us what you want, what you hope for.
So much blood has been shed, so much lost. All because of this endless war. Who wouldn't want to end it? Can we not work together to face our problems as one?
Answer me this, young peacemakers. If a world without conflict is your desire, why reject the unity and prosperity of Garlemald? Is it because we do not share your faith? That we do not share your heritage? That our ideals and virtues differ? that we cherish and hold in the highest that which you do not.
He has no idea about the Ascian creating Garlemald.
Disparity is the root of discord, and peace built on compromise is flawed and fleeting. Happiness for one and all is a dream, and the reality is that to the victor go the spoils. That is why we Garleans will never submit nor surrender. For freedom and for pride, we will remain true to ourselves until the bitter end. That is... It seems there is nothing more to say on the matter. You will remain here while I decide what is to be done with you. Do not be alarmed. No harm will come to you if you cooperate.
We will not resist. However, as your guests, I ask that we be allowed to speak with the other members of your group.
As you wish. I had no intention of locking you up, as by dawn you would be frozen stiff and you're no good to me dead. You are free to move about the encampment, but there is one condition. Collar them.
What are these?
Explosive collars, probably.
Incentive. You'll be watched at all times. Stray too far or act suspiciously, and we will administer a rather painful shock. Stop. Keep away from that one. The champion of Eorzea is not so easily cowed. Even if he allowed himself to be collared, the shock would be no more than an itch. No. If he refuses to obey, we will activate the twins' restraints instead.
You needn't worry about us.
We'll forget we're even wearing them soon enough.
Even now, you still... Why go to such lengths? What is it all for?
On the coldest, blackest of nights, meager though it may be, we must share the warmth of our fire.
You are a curious one. A far cry from the merciless barbarian others paint you to be. You will be their warden. Take them away.
Yes, sir.
Alright, so we've been captured. Or at least Alphinaud and Alisaie have. That's interesting. Yeah, without the Aetheryte active, I don't know if I want to go trudging through the snow again. As per Lord Quintus's instructions, I am to supervise you during your time here in Tertium. Before you ask, no, I don't have a key or any other means to remove your collars. Nor would I tell you if I did. If you try anything, you'll soon wish you hadn't. So, do you truly intend to speak with the others, or was that merely a ruse? We're in no hurry to disobey Lord Quintus, if that's what you mean. Or perhaps you doubt the wisdom of his decision. Do as you will, but remember, I'll be watching. If I catch wind of you doing anything untoward, trying to trick our people into turning their coats and the like, those shock collars will be the least of your worries, understood? Though we're somewhat compromised, to put it lightly, let's not waste this opportunity. I suggest splitting up and learning what we can of their situation. And above all else, don't use magics of any sort. You, on the other hand, may go wheresoever you wish, even outside the camp. I know full well I couldn't stop you if I tried. But do not forget, if you do anything to endanger us or our interests, Alphinaud and Alisaie will pay the price. Ah, okay. But then you don't mind if I do this. You came with Jullus, didn't you? Well, whatever business brought you here, you'd best keep your hands off that Aetheryte. It's deactivated, but I'd rather you didn't mess about with it. There are others throughout the city, built by Garleans for Garleans. Could teleport all over in the blink of an eye, provided there was a terminal nearby. These days, however, we use the Aetheryte's power to keep this place lit, though that comes at the cost of normal functions. Yeah, I suppose I could just simply smash the collars, although that would still be a pretty nasty shock, I'm guessing, to them. I guess I could just clemency them after. Can't go that way. Got another Magitech radio here. This radio is the same model as the one used at Victor's spoils. Perhaps it is what saved the soldiers here from being tempered. I know who you are, the so-called champion of Eorzea. Come to gloat, have you? I'll wipe that smirk off your face. By the blood of our fallen compatriots, I swear I'll... Ugh. Damn, tore the sutures. Of all the times, the worst of the lot within striking distance, and I can't even muster the strength. If it weren't for the third bleeding us, we'd be the end of you. Virgilia's treachery nearly cost Lord Quintus his life. But we made our escape, took shelter in a mansion, tended to the wounded as we prepared to strike back, and then... night fell, and we gathered around the radio. Then the roar, the terrible roar. The capital was in chaos, but we were spared. If you can call this a mercy, mind intact, but body broken. A soldier in name alone. I'd cut you down where you stand if I could, murderer. Yeah, I didn't think he'd sell anything. So cold. This young soldier is on the verge of losing consciousness. It's you, PrinceBrightstar. I served under Lord Gaius in the 14th Legion. I was there on the night the Praetorium fell. You and your adventurers, you killed them. My comrades, my friends, swept them aside in their dozens, as though they were nothing to you. And maybe I am too. Just another faceless enemy to be cut down. But it won't be long until our countrymen return. Until you get what you deserve. Mark my words. Did you learn anything of note? Then your findings are consistent with my own. Their plight is desperate indeed. The sick and injured are at greatest risk. Without proper warmth and nutrition, I fear they will soon perish. I realize there is precious little we can do for them at present, but I cannot bear to see them suffer. Please, will you help me tend to them? Who's there? My eyes, I can't see all that well. Thank you. The numbness has subsided a little. But I know I won't last much longer. You should look to the others who can still fight. Give them my ration. If me going hungry means someone else lives to see another day, so be it. At least I can still serve in that way. So those you met fare no better. I was afraid you would say that. I know we were warned against meddling in their affairs, but we can't leave them like this. Perhaps we might gain permission to have the contingent deliver supplies. Quintus may have made his feelings on the matter quite clear, but even he must recognize they are not in a position to refuse help. Maybe Jullus could persuade him, though we'd need to persuade Jullus first. Well, seen enough? Jullus, the people here have barely enough food and fuel to survive. Have you and the other soldiers been able to procure any more supplies? We've been scavenging provisions from the nearby houses, as most families kept some stored away in the event they were snowed in. Still, going out and getting it is dangerous work, and we've a lot of mouths to feed. Fuel is the greater concern, though. We had some ceruleum set aside until it was stolen. We haven't identified the culprit. Could have been other refugees, or one of the afflicted for all we know. Either way, we're down to the last dregs. Without the heating they need, those in poor health are only going to get worse instead of better. If it's ceruleum you need, our contingent has secured a ready supply. We can have some sent over. We will not accept your charity. If we can hold on a little longer, the situation is sure to change. Aye, everything will change. Those mysterious countrymen of yours, I assume. Heard something of it, have you? Well, from what I've seen, there's little you could do to interfere, so there's no harm in telling you. One of our scouts spotted a hooded man issuing instructions to the afflicted, or in the bastard's word, loyal servants of the Telephroi. Then he made his way inside the Imperial Palace, or what stands in its place. We'd identified the seat of the enemy's power, we realized. Lord Quintus dispatched a messenger to the 10th Legion saying as much, and instructing them to join forces with the provincial legions, to prepare for a combined assault on the Telephroi. Once our allies arrive, your contingent will be sent running for the hills. Then we shall reclaim the capital by our own hand. And how do you intend to survive in the meantime? At this rate, many of your countrymen will perish long before reinforcements reach Garlemald. They need help now. Say the word, and we will bring you ceruleum. I will speak with Lord Quintus. So, did he agree to it? No. He will not place Garlemald in the debt of her enemies. I have, however, been ordered to search for ceruleum outside. As you are under my watch, you will come with me. Very well. After all, many hands make light work. You lot are more trouble than you're worth. Once we are outside, you will follow my instructions to the letter. We depart shortly. Although this is hardly the solution we had in mind, it will have to suffice for the time being. We will begin our search for ceruleum in Regio Urbanissima. The first location is Forum Soleus, a park to the northwest of this station. You are to remain close at all times and act only as ordered. Follow me. Off we go then. Alright, so since I see this coming up here, I'll switch to Ninja so I can get the EXP as this opens up now. And back to Paladin. So this is the park. I'm surprised they found space for one amongst all these buildings. Actually, the recreational areas came first. The houses were later built around them. A healthy society requires communal spaces for children to play and adults to socialize. This park was named after the founding father of the Empire, the great Solus Zos Galvus. Did we come to extract ceruleum from the wrecked Magitech armor? No, we've already drained it dry. Same goes for the rest of the machina in the vicinity. But as our ceruleum has been stolen, we must scour the city for every last drop. And while I don't expect to find anything here, I've decided to try one more time in case something has been overlooked. I see. Then, with your permission, we will commence the search. Though rather small by Garlean standards, this structure is reminiscent of a merchant stall. Perhaps it was built for children to play at shopkeeper. There's nothing inside resembling Magitech or any other device that would be fueled by ceruleum. Oh hey, there's an Aether Current. I'll take that. Several points of interest are marked on the map of Forum Solius. The pond, children's play areas. To your knowledge, however, none would require the use of ceruleum. A cursory inspection of the wrecked Magitech armor confirms that the fuel canisters have long since been drained of ceruleum, as Jullus said. There's another lookout point. The contraption is built in the style of Imperial War Machina, armed with a battery of weapons and capable of transforming into different configurations. But on closer inspection, it appears to be no more than a children's slide. What a somber environment this is. Oh, it's you. Any luck? There's no sign of any ceruleum. Hardly surprising, but disappointing nonetheless. I couldn't help noticing you gazing at the pond. Is something the matter? What? Yes, I mean, no. It's just, I used to bring my brother and sister here to play. The pond was heated to stop it from freezing over. So like all the other children, they just had to wade in and splash about. Would have stayed there if I didn't drag them out. We'd be sopping wet when all was said and done, every time. A heated pond? Wouldn't this need ceruleum to keep it heated? And every time we'd get home, Mother would scold us, saying we'd catch our death walking around like that. The pond was heated. With a ceruleum-powered heater by chance? I suppose it must have been. Come to think of it, I remember seeing engineers changing out a tank beneath a hatch. But that was a long time ago, when the water still flowed clear and wasn't this brackish muck. We can't see a thing, and I can't remember where the hatch might be. With the machinery most likely broken, the amount of filth in there is probably the only reason it hasn't frozen over. I'd wager it's still unbearably cold, though. Jullus, what are your thoughts on magic? The average Garlean would jump out of their skin if they saw it. But the first has a few foreign signifari and medici, so it doesn't scare me. Then I take it you won't mind if I employ a little now. Alphinaud, as you have a knack for finding dry wood, well, why don't you bring me some? Once that's done, a blast of her fire should do the trick. Leave it to me. You're not planning to go in there, are you? Of course I am. That tank isn't going to fetch itself. It's nothing so involved as extracting unprocessed ceruleum from a frozen lake, like how the tappers do it. We're talking about a shallow pond in a park, and we have a way of warming ourselves up after. But that's insane. So, fancy a dip? That last one. But no, a little friendly competition might make things interesting. Last one to find a ceruleum tank is a rotten egg. Though I dare say we'll both smell like rotten eggs when this is over. You delve into the murky water but come up empty-handed. To add injury to insult, the icy wind on your damp clothing chills you to the bone. Same message again. Beneath the water, your fingers catch on what you think might be a handle. You open the hatch and retrieve a ceruleum tank. Sorry, Alisaie. However, your grand discovery comes at great personal cost as you become acutely aware of the freezing cold and rancid odor emanating from every limb of your body. Jullus will doubtless feel compelled to pinch his nose shut when you deliver to him your prize. Oh, that was a good one. Did you find anything? I hope you did. Alright, so, uncovering hidden treasure is an adventurer's bread and butter, though one is not normally required to go elbow deep in ice-cold stagnant pond water to retrieve it. Nevertheless, many would choose that over mowing down hordes of slavering beasts or solving annoying puzzles. That's it! And there's still some ceruleum left. Ah, the fire's still not ready. Hold on, I'll give Alphinaud a hand. Call me an old Don, because by fire I am reborn, and my clothes are mostly dry now too. I appreciate you recovering the ceruleum, but I wish you had taken the time to discuss the plan with me beforehand. Despite the way you've been treated, in Lord Quintus's eyes, you're still envoys deserving of protection. If you were to die on my watch, he would be most displeased. Your concern is duly noted. All's well that ends well. Jullus, you mentioned coming here with your younger siblings. Did you grow up in Garlemald? I did, not far from here. My father was an accomplished researcher in his youth, and for his contributions to the Empire awarded an estate. We lived well, better than many. What was Garlemald like in those days? Everything. It was everything you could imagine, and so much more. Even during the coldest winters, we always found warmth and comfort at home. coming in from the snow, taking off your coat and sitting down for a hot meal with family. Visiting friends and relatives, receiving that same welcome, knowing they had everything they needed. Walking down the street, seeing the lights in all the houses, hearing the faint sound of laughter and song, of happiness. And although the summers came and went all too quickly, in that brief respite, the ice would melt and the forgotten grass make its triumphant return. Gray clouds gave way to blue skies. Some mornings, we'd climb to the top of the tallest building we could find to watch the sunrise. Never again. Those rooftops are rubble, those friends dead, and those memories. But if I could reclaim even a fraction of what we once had, soon, our chance will come. We just need to hold on a little longer. Well, I will note that it's nice to know that I'm in the level 83 range, although I'm not sure how long I've been in that range for. Alright, now that you've recovered from your escapades in the pond, there's another location I'd like to search, just outside the park. As you can see, the place is littered with the remnants of various types of war machina. While my comrades and I have already recovered the tanks from the less damaged units, those that took a more severe beating are harder to scavenge. We decided to save those for another time, that time being now. Rather than prize them apart piece by piece, it would be quicker to remove the outer casing using compact explosives. With luck, we'll gain access to the tanks without rupturing them. Though the force generated by these devices is relatively weak, I would advise you to stand well clear to avoid being hit by any shrapnel. Before even bothering, though, you should check the Machina's ceruleum gauge to see if there is any left. It should provide an accurate reading, even when the unit itself is inactive. If the gauge is broken, I'll let you decide whether to use an explosive or not. Should you need more, come to me. Understood. Let's get to work. And it looks like I've only got 2 of them, but like he said, we've got access to more if we need them. According to the ceruleum gauge, the unit's fuel tank is empty. The ceruleum gauge on this unit appears to have been broken, giving you no way to determine how much fuel its tank may hold. Let's give it a shot. You retrieve the War Machina's ceruleum tank to find it is still half full, or half empty, depending on one's perspective. Either way, Jullus will surely be pleased by your discovery. Alright, so that's 1. Or is that all we need here? More explosives? Wait, is that what I think it is? Not only did this tank survive the attack that disabled the War Machina in which it was installed, it also escaped the blast of your explosives unscathed. If medals for outstanding service were awarded to inanimate objects, this champion among ceruleum tanks would surely deserve one. You've done it again. Truly, luck is on your side. With this, we should be able to refuel quite a few of our heaters. It's time we headed back. Wait here while I go and see how Alisaie and Alphinaud are faring.
finally escaped the watchful gaze of your keepers, have we?
Thancred.
Don't react. You'll only draw attention to yourself. Just carry on as you are and listen. After you left with the Garlean lad, Lucia bade a few of us scouts follow you at a discreet distance. We observed you being led into the station, but decided against venturing inside. When you emerged sometime later, and we saw that the twins were sporting Magitech collars, it was clear what had taken place. Now, as quietly as you can, tell me everything. The Legatus himself, eh? Now there's a surprise. This is also the first I've heard of a plan to join forces with the 10th and storm the Tower of Babel. An interesting development, and perhaps the opportunity we've been waiting for. Our comrades back at the camp also received some rather promising news, but it's still too early to get our hopes up. For now, keeping yourselves out of harm's way comes before all else. Whatever demands the Garleans make, indulge them. With luck, this will all be over soon. Until then.
They had not gone far.
We searched high and low, but no luck, I'm afraid. I might have guessed you'd be the only one to find anything.
I wasn't expecting much to begin with. Eventually, there will be nothing left out here for us to safely salvage. For now, this will have to suffice. We should return to the station.
Ah, there you are. Heard you'd gone hunting for ceruleum above ground. Brought back a king's ransom?
Hardly. But thanks to these three, we have enough to last a little while longer.
Well, well. It's not at all as I was expecting, these ones. For savages, they seem positively docile. It's a poor attempt at humor. In all honesty, I'm grateful for your efforts. But even with another night of warmth, there are those among us who may not live to see the morrow.
I trust your expedition was fruitful.
Lord Quintus!
Use what you procured to refuel the armor.
But, sir, what about the heaters for the camp?
The time for action is upon us. My men and I have matters to discuss. In the meantime, you are to wait here. Do not forget, you are being watched.
The time for action. What did he mean by that?
Perhaps the collaborated attack.
I can only speculate. Clearly something requiring their magitech, given what we just heard. Whether they plan to utilize it now, or after they join with the 10th, is another question. Will they ever escape this cult? Return to and reclaim the idyllic spaces of which Jullus spoke?
Finished your war, Council?
Alphinaud and Alisaie are to stay here, as our prisoners. They will be released once your comrades have relinquished their supplies and withdrawn from Garlean soil. Until our terms are met, they will be detained at a separate location.
After everything we've said and done, this is how you treat us.
Our allies have but limited supplies. They may stave off cold and starvation for a short while, but what then?
For now, keeping yourselves out of harm's way comes before all else. Whatever demands the Garleans make, indulge them.
Everything will be all right. Have faith.
Get them out of here.
Alright. Alphinaud and Alisaie will be fine, providing they do not resist. You will accompany me back to your camp, where I will meet with your leader and present Lord Quintus's demands. Before we depart, however, there is something I would ask of you. Assuming your contingent complies, the supplies they surrender will need to be transported here. That task falls to the legionaries Mercelinus and Octavia, who will pilot Magitech armor to your headquarters. You are to inform them that we are leaving shortly. Tell them to ask for ill for further details, in those words. Once you've seen to that, meet me by the exit. You again. Ask the ill, he said. So, that's to be the way of it, after all this. How ironic that you should be the one to deliver the news. If those are my orders, then so be it. For the glory of Garlemald. Why do I get the feeling that this is not going to be a meeting, but rather a surprise attack? What do you want with me? Ask the ill. So, Lord Quintus has reached a decision. I knew he would understand. That he would recognize the savage is a ruthless, merciless creature, and to defeat him, we too must be uncompromising. I am ready. In the name of Emperor Varus, For the glory of Garlemald, I will fulfill my duty. Outside the station, huh? Have you done as instructed? Their duties involve more than the transportation of supplies, don't they? Duty is rarely a simple thing. We have been given additional orders, though whether we will be required to follow them depends entirely on your contingent. You and I are in this together now. Like it or not, we have to cooperate. There is one other matter, a place I'd like to visit on my way to your camp. It's a short walk from here. Follow me. Jullus lingers by the ruins, reluctant to leave and reluctant to stay, unable to move on. He probably has the same orders. And this... maybe this was a friend's home or something. I guess we'll see.
This is my home. Our home.
Oh, I thought his home was a little bit more outside the city. Okay.
At least it was, until that night. I was with Lord Quintus when the capital fell, and thus spared. My family, who did not own a radio, were less fortunate.
So they figured it out, then.
When dawn came, I made my way here. My parents, my little brother and sister, they were still inside. But they weren't themselves, and they tried to. And I had to. I'd promised to take them away from the capital that very morning, to somewhere safe, to hide until the fighting stopped. I promised. The Garlean flag bears a chain, the bonds between our countrymen. A red link at its center. The blood of the fallen. Our loved ones who lived and died for Garlemald. But if she too fell, who would be left to remember them and their sacrifice? What enduring proof would there be that they were ever here? If we had turned to your gods, would they have saved us? sorry, forget I spoke. We should go.
It's no use. Believe me, I do not enjoy being here any more than you. But he wanted us to play along, so that is what we will do.
Quiet moment with the twins.
It's so cold. Painfully so. Unbearably.
I've been thinking about what Quintus said. About why no one would accept Garlean rule. Irreconcilable differences. When coexistence isn't an option, only conquest remains. Varys at Gimlet said much the same. Only by uniting the world beneath a single standard would we rid ourselves of the Ascians. United as one people, one race cleansed of imperfections. A cold and unforgiving vision. And when we fail to live up to their standards, what place is there for us in their world? But the truly sad, truly frustrating thing is how damnably similar it all is to the lofty ideals of Father and the Forum. Non-intervention. Always non-intervention. Protect our knowledge and our people, and to hells with the rest of you. And yet, I can see how it happened. Varys and Father looked to their elders for guidance and took their virtues as their own. But for this world was of their making. In who else could they place their trust? All of us lost in a sea of chaos. Searching desperately for purpose and meaning. But it shouldn't just be an extension of another's. It has to be ours. It has to be. We all have a stake in this world. No one should be silenced.
I won't deny that we lack the experience of people such as Father or Quintus. Perhaps they've come to see the world as a series of problems, and the most efficient way of solving them, to reduce everything to fundamental forms. A stone is a stone, a cloud, a flower, no more than that. Simple descriptions that strip the subject of distinguishing characteristics. A man is a man, divided according to race, creed, or allegiance, and to some, defined by such associations.
Is that what you think?
In my misbegotten youth. But what I believed wisdom was no more than aggressive ignorance. I've since learned to look beyond the banners and the politics, to see people as individuals with their own hopes and dreams. As for my dream of building a better world, well, every day I'm reminded that it is far more complex than I had ever imagined. But it only spurs me onward, to find the wisdom and the strength to see it through to the very end.
all of our supplies, and an immediate withdrawal. These are your conditions?
Demands. And you forgot about the airship. Once again, you will leave one behind. It will be used to return the prisoners. Their collars will be removed prior to the exchange.
So in the end, not even Father's expertly worded rhetoric could deter you from your chosen course.
Huh?
Not that I thought for a moment that it would. I've no love for violence, of course, but ours is a cause worth fighting for. I just wish he'd realize it too. Sometimes the only way to protect the ones you love is to take a stand, to refuse to suffer in silence. I want you to know I share your conviction. Whether it be on the battlefield or in the debating chamber, I won't back down. I guess what I'm saying is...
You've found your own reason to fight.
Yes. Yes, I have. God's willing, there will come a day when we can finally lay down our arms, and there will be peace. But not until the Telophoroi have been defeated once and for all. And you, brother, will have a vital part to play. By your words and deeds, you'll lead the way.
I pray I am up to the task.
There'll always be naysayers. Those who think us fools for even trying. It's easy for learned elites to criticize earnest efforts and assert their moral superiority, all without offering alternatives. Not that their sophistry has ever wounded you. So stubborn and strong. Stronger than you even know. Don't ever change, you hear me? If you stumble, I'll be there to catch you. Or give you a thick ear. Maybe both, for good measure.
Thank you, Alisaie.
Estinian.
The scouts have secured Alisaie and Alphinaud. Their collars were removed without complication as well. They report no casualties, not for their party nor the guards, who will wake from their premature slumber in due course.
It would appear the situation has changed. I propose new terms. We have information that will be of great interest to Lord Quintus, and I wish to speak with him in person.
And here comes the suicide run.
In the event you rejected our first proposal, we came prepared with a second.
Ambush!
More are coming! Make ready!
We, the loyal soldiers of the First Legion, proud servants of Garleans, of the fallen Emperor Varys, shall safeguard these lands from the barbarian hordes until our countrymen return! Stop, both of you!
This child may be the worst emissary I have ever seen.
We received an urgent communication from the Grand Company of Eorzea. Envoys from the Imperial Army, led by members of the 10th Legion, came to Alamigo and requested an audience. They explained that their efforts to coordinate the reclamation of the capital with the aid of the 4th, 5th, 8th, and 12th had ended in failure. Communication between most legions has broken down entirely. Most of the 10th's conscripts have deserted, leaving their forces severely depleted. That is why, unable to continue the fight on their own, they and their allies turned to the Grand Company of Eorzea for aid.
Lies! Every word!
It is the truth, and I have not finished. The 10th has requested that we deliver a message to Lord Quintus. Have the ill stand down.
You have been listening, my lord? What are your orders?
Inform her that we will honor the 10th's decision. Bereft of hope, and now dignity. I release you from your duty. All of you. I take solace, your radiance, in the knowledge you are not here to witness our debasement. 'Twas a grand, glorious dream we shared. Of a world united, of peace and prosperity.
No kidding about that, Rooks.
We are ghosts, you and I, memories of days gone by. Bonds forged in blood that I will not see tarnished.
And here it comes.
Quickly! We have to reach the station before it's too late.
If there is still a chance that Quintus will agree to a truce, we must take it.
I just hope we get there before he and his men do something rash.
It's probably too late. Yep. They just didn't want to be helped. And not everybody's going to accept help out there. Much more has occurred since we last met. As for determining what comes next, we must speak with Lord Quintus. Before we proceed, tell me what you know of the First Legion and the disposition of their forces. They were preparing for war while the refugees in their care were left to go hungry? A reckless, short-sighted plan that risks the welfare of the people they are sworn to protect. Nevertheless, we cannot compel them to accept our aid. If we were to arrive in force, with the intent to do so, we would only incite panic. But perhaps they can be persuaded to follow one of their own. Go with Jullus back to the station and have him lead the refugees here. Some may be unwilling or unable to leave, but for the time being, I'll take what I can get. Alphinaud, Alisaie, and the scouts sent to extricate them should already be at the station. I will also have our other comrades in the area lend their support should it be needed. Understood. Not just quite yet, and actually I'm at, I'm about 15 hours of streaming when I add in the 5 I did this morning, before I had to shut down for the gardeners. Let's see, we're about to cross a threshold. There we go. Yeah, it's close to 2 a.m. for me as well, but what can I say? The adrenaline is keeping me going. I'd love to have the second dungeon done before I close up for today. And given that I'm in the range of level 83 right now, it's gotta be coming soon. Just one dungeon so far. That was the Tower of Zot. And then I guess the Tower of Babel will be next then. Or Babel. Just about there. Prince and Jullus. We arrived just before you did, and too late. Too late for what? What's happened? is Lord Quintus. He took his own life. After the news about the 10th, he relieved us of our duties. Then when he was alone, he... No, he wouldn't. Thancred and the others, assisted by the soldiers, have seen to the remains. In due course shall the legatus be afforded a proper burial. He released us from our duty. He wanted us to be free to choose our own fate. Without him to guide us, I have just this moment spoken with Lucia. We are ready to commence the transfer of the refugees here to Camp Broken Glass, should they be willing to accept our aid. Some would rather die. But most of us just want to live. Songs and standards be damned. We just want to live. We'll need to speak with the refugees. They'll have to decide for themselves if they wish to come with us. If any would prefer to stay, we can have supplies brought over for them. It'll be a hard journey for the others, but we'll see they reach the camp safely. I... Let's see if we have access to the Aether right now. There we go. It was only ever a dream, wasn't it? To think we could reclaim it, rebuild it all ourselves. Before this all began, I sent my wife and daughter away to the provinces. If there's a chance I might see them again, I'll take it. So take me. Take me with you, please. Well, got the Aetherite sorted in the end. All it took was a few adjustments, and now it works as well as it ever did. From what I can tell, the one in Latirum is also functioning as normal. That's where you lot are staying, isn't it? Now most of us are packing up and leaving this place. I reckon there'll be more use for me and my skills over at your camp. Ah, it's you. The one who treated me with such kindness. I heard from the others that you're not from around here. I thought you were one of us. Not that it makes much difference now. Purebloods, migrants, savages. After a while, the words start to lose meaning, until all you're left with is anger and fear and hate, and I'm too tired. If you and yours have come to offer aid, I'll be glad to accept. We have much to discuss. Our rescue, the attack on Camp Broken Glass. what we'd hoped to talk about with Quintus. But all of them can wait. More urgent matters demand our attention. Are any of the refugees willing to come to our camp? Thank the 12. Thank the 12. You and I should go first and secure the route back to Camp Broken Glass. With all the creatures in Tempered skulking about, I expect we'll have our hands full. This should come in handy. Conqueror's Chain, courtesy of our Lominsan friends. I'd save it for the Tempered, though. I'll mark a few points that need surveying on your map. Once you've taken care of the riffraff, we'll meet back at our camp. Looks like the first point is directly to the south. And I believe you have an aetherite, or, a aether current. So I will keep that in mind for the future. Alright, the first point is over here. I need to bring Hadra back out. Yeah, I see the message. I'm trying to figure out why it's not giving me the option to do what I gotta do now. Just a moment. Alright, why is this not giving me the option to do what I need to do here? Twitch, you disappoint me. Make your tools better. This was easier today. It was just, I just clicked to the right of it and the options appear. What's going on? There we go. Alright, with that, let me make an adjustment. Alright, I have made the rules more stringent again. And that is how they are going to stay for the time being. Oh, I guess I gotta use that chain then. There we go. Alright, up next is to the west. Near the station here. No threats in the path ahead. And then this over here is going to be the last point we need to check out. There we go. And let's speak to Thancred. Ah, there you are. As expected, I ran into a few beasts who went down without much of a fight. The Tempered proved somewhat troublesome, but those chains should keep them under control until our allies take them into custody. With that taken care of, I am to gather a few supplies and then return to the station. While I see to that, would you mind apprising Lucia of our progress? As it happens, I have some rather pertinent information from our recent scouting forays, but I'll save that for later. First things first, and all that. Ah, Prince, I was informed of Quintus's suicide. It must have come as a great shock to his men. What of the refugees? I'm told some were receptive to our proposal, but I would hear your first-hand account. That so many did not hesitate to accept proves how desperate their situation has become. We'll do our best to make them feel welcome. The troops who participated in the ambush are no exception. They will be afforded the same treatment as any other refugees. Perfidy notwithstanding. After all, even if I wanted to make an example of them, there's no one left to learn from it. We will tell our allies that these soldiers were acting under the direct orders of their legatus, and that following his actions they offered a full and unconditional surrender. Perhaps Quintus thought that he had lived. He would be tried as a war... or that had he lived, he would be tried as a war criminal, and his men punished with him. Perhaps by taking his own life, he hoped to absolve them of any culpability. Or perhaps, like too many others, he was a true believer to the end. Who can say? I didn't know the man, or his heart. His reasons, noble or otherwise, died with him, and it falls to us to clean up the mess. I assume you're curious about how matters have progressed here in your absence. Quite well, as it happens. Now that we procured ceruleum from Tapper's Den, the recently repaired heaters can provide much-needed warmth. Furthermore, we prepared sufficient food for everyone. Those from Tertium shall find a hot meal waiting upon their arrival. There's one for you, so go ahead and get some well-earned rest. I believe that we're capable of wielding a ladle or two without your assistance. On your way, might I ask you seek out Y'shtola? She was but recently attending to the wounded, but she's meant to be taking a rest herself. See that she is. So I'm curious about this quest here, because I'm wondering if this is going to be considered possibly a breakpoint here in the story, but let's see. Yes, I have been taking proper breaks and imbibing sufficient water. But what of the Warrior of Light? You and the twins are an established history of reckless disregard for your own well-being. We're all fortunate that none of you landed yourselves in my care. I've already quite enough to deal with, between the Tempered and the first wounded. Alas, though I can mend their bodies, the toll their experiences have taken on their hearts and minds is another matter altogether. For their sakes, we mustn't waver. But nor must we rush ahead in eagerness to see the day won, and so doing invite disaster. Upon sitting down for supper, several cutscenes will play in sequence. It is recommended that you set aside sufficient time to view these scenes in their entirety. Alright, so then let's see what happens here, because this might actually be a proper stopping point for this evening here. If we're still a whiles away from the Tower of Babel.
Is that all of them?
The last of those who agreed to join us, yes.
We left heaters and provisions for those who wish to stay behind. They won't last forever, but hopefully they'll last long enough.
For now, I think everyone's earned a rest. We'll see to those in need of medical attention, so take the others with you and get yourselves some hot soup.
Warmth. At last.
Marvelous, isn't it? All thanks to the resourceful machinists of Ishgard, I might add. On their behalf, I bid you warm yourself to your heart's content.
Hold on. Your people might have scribbled a few things on a piece of parchment, but it was our Leminson Smiths that put the bloody things together.
Well, be that as it may, we single-handedly got the interior heating up and running again, didn't we?
The hells you did! We were there every step of the way.
We? You barely raised a finger to help, you ale-sodden reprobate.
I did a damn sight more than you, you lily-livered bilge-rat.
Take that back!
Make me.
I will not stoop to your level.
Here. At ease, man. There's nothing funny in it. I'm from Alamigo, but was a conscript until recently. Used to eat this with the officers.
Apparently, it's adapted from a steppe recipe. This is my first time trying it, and I have to say, it's not half bad.
It's a bit too flavorful for my liking.
Perhaps compared to what you're used to.
It's the little things that make life worth living, don't you think?
I know this is not a dream, and yet... I felt the same way at the Dragon Song War's end. Every morning I would step outside and need to be reminded that it wasn't my imagination, that my world had been forever changed. And just as I had grown accustomed to the idea, again you change my world in ways I never thought possible. Were it not for you and your fellow scions, the rifts between man and dragon and myriad tribes might never have been bridged. The Grand Company of Eorzea, the Ilsabard contingent. We owe it all to you. We've shed many tears in recent days, of pain and sorrow, triumph and joy. I much prefer the latter.
We often don't have the luxury of choice.
Indeed. We can but do our utmost to unite these disparate peoples and lead them to victory.
It is a remarkable achievement. Everything that I and the Populares had hoped for, and more.
Would that it had come sooner.
Indeed. Too many are not here to see it. And yet, there is a warmth in my breast, as if they still share in this moment.
Yes, I know what you mean. On a night like tonight, the wind and cold seem to pass me by.
And the flower shines again.
On behalf of the Garleans, I thank you for inviting me today.
He's been tempered.
What? Emperor Varys?
They are being tempered. The talismans! Quickly!
Me brave hero!
Fan Daniel?
My lord has requested your presence, and I would hate to disappoint him.
The experiment was a success, but I fear our time is short. I shall begin the preparations.
Now, it is time for you to awaken.
Xenos.
Good morrow to you. Here, have a taste before it gets cold. Oh, but be sure to remove your helmet. Take a moment, too, to familiarize yourself with that borrowed flesh.
Ooh.
So, how does it feel? I, for one, find those first moments within a new body to be most refreshing.
Who occupied my body?
We had a Magitech engineer by the name of Jullus to thank for this method of soul extraction and implantation. I believe the two of you met briefly in Alamigo.
Indeed, he was the second boss in there.
His was a rather sticky end, wasn't it? Thankfully, he was thoughtful enough to leave behind his mind-jack technology. I took the liberty of making some improvements and selecting you as my esteemed test subject.
This is such a pain in the arse.
Come now. To us Asians, it is no different from trying on new clothes. Why not make the most of it by partaking in this fine cuisine? I must say, I have gone to great lengths to reunite you with my lord. When I discovered that his friend was in this neck of the woods, I suggested inviting you over for dinner. He never deigned to respond, but I took his silence as a resounding yes. Oh my! Daddy is pleased his grumpy little boy has finally found his playmate. Exposition is in order. The Garlean Empire has long outlawed all forms of religion. No gods to worship, no risk of summoning. Brilliantly simple. But people being people must turn to something or someone in their hour of need. Who then? Why, His Radiance the Emperor, of course. As you have observed firsthand, Garlemald has seen better days. The legendary Solus Zos Galvus, dead. Provinces near and far in open rebellion. Our bold new emperor assassinated. And that last one even sparked a civil war. What rotten luck. The people cried out for salvation. Their earnest pleas, one might even call them prayers, a supplication united for the Empire to reclaim her former glory. And so their will did manifest, channeled through the corpse of none other than Emperor Varus himself.
But I know who that is. Anima.
And lo, the Savior was born, the embodiment of the Garlean spirit, their anima. It calls to its subjects, compelling them to take up arms and fight. And just as the wealth and power gravitate towards the Empire's capital, so too does ether from every corner of the globe. The towers with which you and your allies have been so preoccupied were created as an extension of Anima itself. An ingenious design.
Well, then we know whose limbs were inside there.
Would you not agree, my lord?
Does the pursuit of prey you have bested before excite you? Of course not. Absent the challenge, the thrill, your prize is a hollow victory. Butchery. Perhaps you think that to be the extent of my promise. I have no doubt fallen in your estimation since Alamigo. Fair enough. But do not let your disdain deprive us, of an opportunity to craft an even more majestic moment of euphoria. I have been honing my craft as I set the stage for our reunion. Wheresoever there is suffering and despair, you appear to fulfill your duty as defender of this star. The chaos and destruction that my hordes have wrought are my gifts to you alone. At a loss for words? No matter. As you will learn, I have only just begun.
Oh, will you not finish your meal?
There is only one thing that can sate my hunger, and it would seem my friend has lost his appetite. I hoped this display of civility might prove an entertaining diversion, but clearly we are above such pretensions. While my lifeless body was in the possession of the Ascian, I too claimed another's as my own. It was an enlightening experience to fight in an unfamiliar form. Flaws and failings in my technique were plain to see. Whence rises one's true strength? The flesh? The soul? Perhaps you should like to discover the answer for yourself.
So who's in there?
or together.
He just swapped into my body. Oh, this is Chrono Cross all over again.
Oh dear! Whatever would happen if my lord were to greet your friends as you? I shudder to imagine what carnage he would wreak. We'd better hurry if we want to avert the bloodbath. You can thank me later for my generosity. Ah, there it is. Your camp, I believe. If I were to hazard a guess, I would say that you, the other you, is making his way there as we speak. Alas, this you will have to walk from here. Or run, if you can manage it. My lord would be cross if I made it too easy. Such ingratitude. I'd not squander this fighting chance. After all, you've obstacles enough to overcome. Right on cue.
I'll say this much, even though I've encountered something like this before in gaming, this is certainly still a surprise.
Tempered soldiers, with standing orders to kill those not sworn to anima. Under normal circumstances, you would make short work of them. But on this occasion, the odds are not so heavily stacked in your favor.
Oh, duty calls then. Alright, let's proceed. So we are just called the Unknown Imperial, and I cannot open my character menu at this time. Apparently I've also got 25 minutes to get there. This is the generic gladiator here. I don't even have my paladin skills.
Not bad at all, given your diminished capacity. Nevertheless, 'twould perhaps be prudent to keep to the shadows. Scurrying about like a rodent.
The Tempered Imperial has breathed his last. Inspect. The unfortunate soldier was carrying a medical kit. You may use medical kits to restore depleted HP. While you can only carry a limited number, more can be found by inspecting fallen soldiers or wrecked Magitech. Got anything else? Nothing. Alright, then pay our respects. We offer a silent prayer for the deceased. Were you in possession of your own body, you may have had the capacity to subdue rather than slay this tempered soldier. But in this battle, you are unable to use the full extent of your powers. To reach Camp Broken Glass quickly, you should avoid combat whenever possible. If you are discovered, your foes will give chase. The Magitech units especially powerful, and your chances of defeating them in your current state are slim at best. Alright, turn around, Claw. Are you not going to turn around? That contains a medical kit. Alright, let me use that. Alright, I actually need to head south. My first problem is just figuring out how to get out of the city. There's no easy way around. Here we go. Imbib the Saltaris, and it begins to soothe your wounds. Alright, so that's sort of a regen effect. According to the gauge, some ceruleum remains. The Magitech Reaper itself, however, is damaged beyond repair. Discover a medical kit. Okay. So I'm confused. Which way am I supposed to go? There we go, another medical kit. Can't go that way. Alright, there's another medical kit. This Magitech's rear leg has been damaged, but the weaponry should still function. Maybe you can clear a path if you can find the identification key and fuel. Alright, so we found the fuel before, but where was the key? There's another medical kit. Medical kit. Nothing there. Okay, so we need to take this to the Magitech Griever. Okay, refueling. Psst, over here, inside this building. Come quickly. Right there, okay. You've not been turned? Thank goodness, I thought I was the only one left. Ah, the bastards got my hand when they took down my Magitech Reaper. If you can repair its leg, though, it should still work. Here, take this key. If I had the use of my hand, I might have stood a chance out there. Please, send help if you can. Alright, we should be able to blast through now. Alright, now we need to proceed back to Camp Broken Glass, if we can. This way. You there, please help us. All right. Alright, at least that thing... At least I didn't time out on that, but I may have to... Depending upon how long the rest of this takes, I may have to do that first part a bit more quickly. I am gonna run out of these healing kits at this rate. Unable to escape the blast, you begin to lose consciousness. Alright, not those buttons then. Crawl to safety and regain consciousness. With the last of your strength, crawl to Camp Broken Glass. What happened to the 2 remaining medkits I had? At death's door, gravely wounded and unable to stand, but still clinging to consciousness. I can't turn.
It is a miracle we were able to restrain the Tempered without suffering casualties.
A welcome one. Arun, Senna, and the others have their hands full as it is. Thankfully, there are enough scales for everyone.
And what of Jullus? His symptoms were particularly severe.
They were, but others fared still worse, including some brought back from the Magna Glacius. As those in most desperate need take priority, it may be a while before he receives treatment. But rest assured that he will. In the meantime, we must find our missing friend. May the Fury guide you.
Of all the bloody times for a disappearing act.
Right when the first wave struck, we'd be fools to think it a coincidence. But where even to begin the search? No one saw him leave in the chaos, and we've no trail to follow.
While I know full well he can handle himself, I worry all the same.
Ah, speak of the devil.
Alright, who's gonna go then?
Well, time to call off the search.
Case closed.
That's him. Over there.
That's right, your Shulla would know, it's not me.
Aye, 'twould appear so. Thou art struggling to perceive his presence?
I am. Perhaps, in the aftermath of the wave, there is some residual effect interfering with my faculties. But...
Where have you been? We've been worried sick.
Now, all's well that ends well. Are you all right?
Are you all right?
Who are you?
Just in time. My goodness. Get away from them, you bastard!
Sadly, that is all we have time for today. The effect has run its course, and back to your own bodies you must go. But where are my manners? You have all traveled so very far, and I have yet to pay my respects. Though in my defense, I was ill-prepared to receive so many uninvited guests. As such, preliminary entertainments were in order. A handful of tempered soldiers to hamper your progress. Refugees to command your attention while I siphon the ceruleum from the shadows. Particularly effective, that. Charitable souls that you are, you bent over backwards to aid them. Heedless of the delay. Predictable to a fault. And so my plan approaches completion unhindered.
I gotta give it to him, that's kinda smart.
Anima will soon have absorbed the requisite amount of ether. And then shall come the spectacle to end all spectacles. The eldest, and most powerful of primals will awaken, and all shall bear witness to the final days.
The gods themselves will be my meal. Your dear companions my dessert. Upon this world I'll feast, and death shall follow in my wake. All your hate, all your rage, you will render unto me.
For upon thy life's reel wind too many threads of fate, power, weal enmeshed with woe. More terrible still is the attrition wrought upon thy companions, as they are swept up in the storm of thine existence. Take heart and protect them well. They will be your strength and your salvation.
Thank goodness. He's awake.
Are we gonna need to split from them? So I'm not dead yet.
I am pleased to report you are very much alive.
Everything in working order? That's a relief. Oh, and before I forget, thanks for coming to our rescue.
Given recent events, I would be surprised if you weren't feeling a bit poorly. A hearty meal and a long rest would be my recommendation under normal circumstances, but these are anything but. If Fandaniel's boasts are to be believed, we must act quickly. Once you've blown away the cobwebs, we can discuss preparations for our assault on the Tower of Babel.
Okay. Oh, that was incredibly good storytelling there. I will say that. Oh, I was not expecting that adrenaline rush there. Oh, boy. Oh. Oh, wow. What a unique scenario to put the players through in that. Just as the players think they might be able to take a break, they're just thrown into that. Yoshi P, you got me good here. Oh boy. Oh. Alright. Alright. Let's Oh. Alright, let's speak to Alisaie here. Let's wrap this quest. You're certain you're well? Nothing out of place? No missing bits? Good, though I won't promise the same for Fandaniel and Xenos after I'm through with them. How much must these people suffer before they're satisfied? How many cruel, pointless tricks must they play? Prelude to the final days, or no, this ends now. Alright. Alright, well with that, definitely, I definitely need to take a break at this point. I've basically been going for, what, about 16, 17 hours at this point today, so I think that's a good place to call it. From what I understand, and the reason I went so hard today is, from what I understand, Yoshi P mentioned that there were going to be basically 7 story arcs in this expansion, and I think we've only completed 2 so far. This being the end of the second one now. So, yeah, I'm going to continue to push hard tomorrow and Sunday, and hopefully wrap up on Monday, because at that point then I have to look at going back to work on Tuesday. But, yeah, this was a surprising end to this chapter of the story. Yeah, but at the same time, this is gonna do it for me today. I can't continue on after that. Oh my goodness. Alright, so, with all that said, definitely, thank you for joining me today. This is PrinceBrightstar signing off. I'll catch you tomorrow once I'm rested and ready to head into the next part. Have a great evening, everyone.